First of all, I'd like to start out by saying I'm done with debate. I'm just so done with debating. It doesn't fix anything. It builds walls. It's not good. I'm right, you're wrong. You're right, I'm wrong. Okay, we both walk away thinking we're right and we're very wrong. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's this school that I live by. And the school, it's a high school that they tried to bring intelligent design in about, I think it's like 5 years ago. They tried to bring intelligent design in as one of the curriculums. And all it was there was a designer that designed everything. Like they were trying to bring God into the schools. And they fought it and they knocked it out. Okay? And there was this big protest and picketers and all that stuff. It was a big deal. It was on CNN News. And that high school happens to be about 6 miles from my house. So my home church is right around there. And there's a lady from my home church that, God bless him, Jesus' name. There's a high school. And this lady that is friends with one of the teachers there said, Todd, there's a class in the high school that is a religious debate class. And kids can take it as a curriculum. And what they do is they bring in Muslims, they bring in Hindus, they bring in Sikhs, they bring in Wiccans, they bring in every different religion into there so that students can be well informed and make a choice. See, there's really no match. It's game over. But we have to know who we are in the midst of that, or we'll try to argue our point. So I go into the classroom, I meet them in the office, and I'm like, hey, how you doing, guys? My name's Todd White, and I'm here to meet Mr. Hoover. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, we'll call him. And they call him, and he comes down. And I start talking to the ladies about Jesus. And because I'm in the high school. They're kind of limited in schools from what they can say, but I'm not, because I'm not part of their high school. Really. And if the kids get a hold of this, it'll change everything. Really. Because the kids aren't shut down. They can talk about everything they want to. They can talk about Jesus if they want. I'm sure. Oh, that would be just awesome. Anyway. Really. Because I'm starting to go into schools. It's crazy what God's doing. It's nuts, man. So I go into the classroom. And Mr. Hoover brings me in there. All the students are there. And they're like, what? Because I'm a guy coming in and talking about Christianity. And they've never seen anything like me. It's true. It's not normal, because the people they bring in, they had 2 Mormon elders there the 2 days before I came, and they drilled these guys 2 classes 2 days in a row, and they love to debate and argue and argue their point. So I'm just not going to argue. And Mr. Hoover goes, this is Todd White. He travels and he is a Christian, and he's here to explain and debate with you about Christianity. So the kids are like, oh, they're ready to let me have it, man. Seriously. I've got 40-some kids in there that are ready to. So he goes, okay, I'm going to open it up for debate. Now, Todd, what you'll do is you'll call on hands, and they'll ask you questions. And I'm like, all right. So he's like, I hear this ding, ding in my heart. Like, right? Seriously. It's so weird, but that's honestly how I'm thinking. And I'm not being mean, and I'm not being arrogant. See, what you're hearing out of me isn't arrogance. I'm confident. Really, I've got Godfidence. So the students raised their hand. He said, you can call on anyone you want. So I see a girl over there. I can picture it. I just see it. And I said, hey, you. And she goes to speak. And I said, can I ask you a question before you ask me one? She goes, okay. And I said, isn't it true that you want to go to college to be a pediatric nurse, and you're graduating in 1 year, and you've already got accepted into a college? You've already got this ride that you're going to get? And she just looked at me. See, this is way better than debating with people. But your motive has to be pure, or you'll have to prove a point. See, my motive is not to do anything but to let them taste and see that the Lord is good. My motive is not to try to strong-arm them into praying my prayer. I'm all about populating heaven. But this is not I got 5 souls. How many did you get? Game. Our motive has to shift. I understand evangelism. And people say, Todd White, the evangelist. I get it. I understand. But I've walked in all of them. Because God says I can. Are you with me? Do you know the word evangelism? Do the work of an evangelist. Do you know what that means? Preach the gospel. That's it. Are you not supposed to preach to all creation? Okay. All of us are. Okay. So she's like, what? She goes, who are you? I said, my name's Todd White. I'm here to talk to you about Christianity. I'm here to represent Jesus. And she's like, this is crazy. I said, you also have asthma. And I said, and right now I'm going to pray for you, and God is going to set your lungs on fire. I'm not being mean, and this is real. She goes, oh my goodness. She goes, what's going on? And Mr. Hoover's like, really, I promise. It's honest, man. And all the students' hands go down right then. All of them. See, there's a place that we can walk that you're so confident in God that it terrifies people. The blessings of Deuteronomy 28, one of them that I named, is that people will fear you because of your relationship with the Lord. What if you knew who you were and you didn't have to debate with people anymore? And you just dared to love people. And it was so much that they couldn't get out of this. So I looked at the other side and I said, sir, I said, you play baseball and you play football. I said, but you damaged your right shoulder and you can't throw anymore. He goes, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. I wasn't being mean, but he was trying to lie to me. And in the place that I was at right there with these students, it wasn't happening. And I wasn't being mean. I said, come here, young man. There was a reason for that. He just happened to be the class clown that everybody looked up to. And he was a bold one. And he tried to lie to me. And I said, please come here. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm representing Jesus Christ, man. I'm just going to pray for you. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, come here. So I put my hand on his shoulder, prayed. He goes, what the? And he starts to like almost cuss. And the teacher's like, it's just awesome. So one thing happened after another, and I have 55 minutes with these students. And I put a seat in the front, and I sat it here. And I called it the hot seat. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call on you. And when I call on you, God's going to tell me what's going on with you, and I want you to come up here and sit in the seat. So I would call on them, and they would be so freaked out. I remember the first girl, she comes up, she's like, and she's shaking. I'm not being mean to her. I love her. I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm not going to hurt her. God's not going to hurt her. He loves her. She's like, and her friend is like, oh, are you okay? She's like, I don't know. I'm not being mean. This is real. It's so real. I wouldn't lie to you. I don't have to exaggerate. God's good. He really is. Dude, you can't exaggerate God's goodness. That's legal. Because it's beyond what you can ask or think. But you don't have to exaggerate a testimony. Just tell the truth. It'll change lives. So I sat her down, prayed for her. She gets healed. She's in tears. She's crying. She gets up and she walks, and there's a guy that's sitting behind the teacher that comes and walks, and he's leaving. I said, sir, before you go, you have a real problem with your back. It's giving you trouble. It's on the right side. He's like, yes. I said, can you please sit down for me? He says, okay. So he sits down, and I pray for him, and God heals him. And I said, sir, you also have kidney stones, and they're really bad, and I need to pray for your kidney stones right now because God's going to remove them. All the kids are freaked out right now. This is awesome. It's really fun. Do you understand that when you live this way, if God is for you, who cares who's against you? This is really true. So the man stands up and I said, you know, I really see government upon you. And I started talking to him about that, and he goes, well, that's great. And that does sound very good, but I'm the vice principal of this high school. He came in to see the debate on Christianity because he's a Christian. And he was healed when he walked out of there. And all the students were in a reverence place that was crazy. Now the students are up and they're talking. The bell rings and none of them will leave. It's lunchtime. At lunchtime and you're in school, you're out. It's time to go. It's legal. You're out. You're gone. These students won't leave. And Mr. Hoover goes, guys, you've got to leave. There's another class coming in. She's like, man, can we get passes to go? No, you cannot get passes today. You have to go. We'll see if Mr. White will come back again. And they're leaving. And the students are coming in. And they're like, it's awesome. I love it. Because I heard this kid. I'm right beside him. He's walking out. He's just shaking his head. And I looked at him. I said, God loves you, man. He goes, yeah. Really? He walks out. The student's walking in. There's this cool dude walking in. You can tell they're, when I was in school, we call them jocks. It's not a bad word. It was just the guys that were really good at sports. And you could tell, right? He goes, dude, you guys are in for it today, man. And they walk out and the other class comes in and sits down. Same thing happens for another 45 minutes. Then we have a problem. Now, students are coming back from lunch, bringing kids from lunch, getting passes to come into the room. And the room is filling with all these different students. Come and see a man that told me everything about me. I'm really serious. This really happened. It's really awesome. And it's totally available. And I want to tell you that it's through righteousness. Because when you're in a situation like that, what you will do is you will sense the darkness around you if you're not careful. And you will be very aware of how dark it is. You will talk about, oh, I went in there and it just felt really dark. Which I believe is totally whacked and illegal for a Christian to say. Because you're light. If you go into a place and it's really dark, it's not anymore because you're there. If you're in your house and it's really dark, it's not anymore because you're the light of your house. I just read it. Come on, man. If you're at your workplace and you know who you are, I don't care where you are. You're the light in your workplace. Come on, man. I'm talking to you. The light in your workplace, Mr. Police Officer. Yes. I didn't read your poem. I couldn't, or I'd have been a wreck today before I came up here that you wrote. I couldn't do it. When I leave, I will, and I'll just cry. I know it because it's awesome. I know. He gave me a poem he wrote, and I'm sure it's going to wreck me. It's on forgiveness. It's powerful. I read the first 2 lines, and I went, no more. I just know. Yeah. I'm going back to that school on Wednesday.